my channel. So today's video is not going to be what I thought it was going to be, but I just cannot get myself to work on this painting. I am really overwhelmed with the size of it, and I'm really thinking I need to do a practice painting on a smaller scale. I've done this before. I have this small landscape painting that I painted that I ended up actually doing on a really large canvas. I'll show them right here for you so you can see them. Having that practice painting was really helpful with brush strokes and ideas and layout of what I wanted to do on the big painting. So I'm going to be doing that again today before I try and attempt to start on this again. It's been almost a year since I started it, so I need to finish it. I have to finish it. My reference photo is a view of Tuckerman's Ravine in New Hampshire. I think it's in Lincoln. I'm not really sure exactly where it is. I'd have to look it up. But I want to take that and I want to change the image just a little bit. I wanted to add some trees in the foreground. So I'm going to do the practice painting where I kind of combine my two reference photos and then use that painting as my reference. I think that will help a lot. And I think it'll help me get the colors exactly that I want, because that's one of the biggest struggles I've had with this painting is getting the colors right. So I'm gonna clean my area, get set up, get my palette ready, and see if I can get this done. And I'm gonna try and do it in under 2 to 3 hours. I don't want to spend more than like 3 hours on it. I think that would be an excessive amount of time, to be honest with you. So let's do it. So I noticed that when I picked up my order from Joann's that these canvases were really loose. So I am going to test this idea that I found on Pinterest where you basically spray the back of the canvas with water and then take a hot hair dryer to it. And I was kind of hesitant to think that this would even work, but once I did it, it worked a lot better than I would have thought. It didn't work perfectly. There's definitely still a bit of looseness to it, but as you can see as I'm putting the wash on here, it definitely helped a lot. So I used this light blue color to add coolness to the painting. I usually do a burnt umber color to add warmth, but this painting was very cool tone, so I wanted to make sure that I had that good cool base to start with. And then I mixed a slightly darker shade to kind of just map everything out, so I don't have to use any pencil or anything like that. You can see here that I'm mapping out where I want the trees. That is kind of irrelevant at this point. I ended up actually scrapping that idea completely, but you'll see that in a little bit. So I'm just kind of laying the paint in the different shades of blue for the sky. I did want to layer it a little bit, kind of impressionist. I do definitely touch this up later. It's very much needed, but trying to get the basics of what shades are where. The clouds were a little bit stormy, a little bit gray in some areas, so I wanted to make sure that I added that as well. I really liked that in the reference photo. I thought it made the sky look really interesting and pretty. Now, a lot of the techniques that I'm using in this painting are ones that I used in this small landscape painting that I did. I will link that here for you if you want to check it out. I basically changed all of the techniques that I usually
do while I'm painting, and it helped a ton. I tend to lay a base coat of paint and then go in with detail instead of intentionally laying the shade exactly where it needs to be and utilizing the underpainting and leaning on that a little bit more, letting it show through, using a little bit of a thinner layer of paint. I mean, that's why you really use an underpainting, so that you can use that to add the tone and add a little bit of dimension to your painting. So this layer of mountains in the back were definitely faded and kind of foggy. I had a little bit of a hard time at first getting these shades right. This is actually one of the things that I had the biggest struggle on when I started on the big painting. I wasn't really mentally ready for that. I should have definitely gone through this kind of practice before. I also wanted to make sure that these shadows were laid in the right areas. This is kind of the shadows from the clouds above. So this is where I ended up scrapping the whole tree idea. I was trying to do a different texture and technique than I usually do, and it came out absolutely terrible. So I just went in with the different layers of greenery and darker shades in the front. And then there's a lot of stone ledging on this mountain in this area. This was another part of the painting that I had a really hard time with when I went straight in for the big one. I didn't know what textures to use, and I didn't really know if I even wanted to do that. I almost completely changed it to just like grass field. But I pushed through that in this painting, and it was a bit of a struggle. I definitely had its ugly phase. For quite a bit of time, actually, had an ugly phase, but I was able to get the different shades in there, the different shades of green, the different shades of the rock ledge, where the shadows are coming from, things like that. And overall, very happy that I didn't add the trees in the front. I was able to add a lot of texture and colorings, and yeah, so here it is.
So that only took about 2 hours, but I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see, put my reference up here as well so you can see that. I did actually not end up adding the trees in the front like I thought that I would. It was really distracting, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, this is it. I'm pretty happy with it. There's a few things that I'm gonna change when I work on the big painting, but overall, the textures, the shades, the colors, I did end up going back in and changing some of the colors and going over them with what I ended up using. Changed some of the textures in the front, but overall, this front part was the part that I was struggling with the most when I started on the big one. I didn't really prep my canvas properly with the big one when I first started. So that's my plan. Blue underpainting, cool tones, and kind of impressionist with the textures. I think that helps a lot, especially once I get into the big painting. That way I don't have to worry too much about super fine details. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will be back next week with this big guy.